Good morning, day 14. I've been walking for a little while this morning. Got going a little early because they're predicting rain starting at about noon today and extending for up to 3 days. So we'll see how that goes. I'll show you here. This is a very clear Beaver Dam. Must be newer than many of those I've seen that were overgrown. Still intact, but overgrown. Looking around, I don't see one of the telltale signs of beaver besides their dam, and their house is usually the chewed trees. I don't really see that here. So again, I question if there's actual beavers or not. But I'm on a nice wide bridge here, creek flowing out of the Beaver Dam. Just recently entered the Split Rock State Park. So the trail is wide and fairly well maintained on average. I do have to be careful in state parks. They usually have trails going every which way, and they're not always well marked. You kind of assume that you're supposed to just keep walking straight ahead when you get to an intersection, but sometimes the trails are crossing at an angle. So anyhow, they post maps. It looks like there's one coming up of the whole park, so you can study the map and try and figure out where you are. Yeah, here goes a spur trail. That one's pretty well marked, but trails and roads and whatever everywhere. So I do get to be pretty careful with my Avenza map of the SHT when I come to intersections to make sure that I'm going the SHT way and not ending up on some scenic loop trail for the park visitors. But trail this morning has been, even before I got to the state park, the trail has been pretty level, pretty root and rock free. So I haven't checked my mileage yet. I've been out for a little over an hour, but I've been moving fast. I'll take a guess and say that I've been achieving what for this trip has been my fast pace of about 2.5 miles per hour. So I'm pleased with that, especially with rain coming. I'm a little apprehensive about what the conditions will be with slippery roots and slippery rocks and mud puddles and everything else once it starts raining. So I'm happy to get some miles in the morning while the going is good. Here's a nice morning view of the lake. You can see the clouds are starting to roll in. So ironically, while I was talking in my last video about keeping an eye on the map and not going the wrong way in a state park, sure enough, right in the middle of that discussion, I went the wrong way. I was only about 5 minutes down side trail, when I figured out that I had gone the wrong way, but darn it. I remember this campsite. My very first ever backpacking trip. I was with my youngest daughter, she was probably, I don't know, 12 to 14, somewhere in there, and we had a long day. We had heavy packs, didn't know the first thing about ultralight. We got here and we were happy to have a campsite. Looked pretty right along the Split Rock River, and I remember because I was looking at this site down here and I thought, that's a nice looking little site off in the corner. You can't really see on the camera, but it's down a little bit of a incline, not even a hill, just a little incline from the fire pit. And I was getting ready to set the tent up there, and my daughter says, I kind of like the one up here better. So it's up above a few feet. So I said, all right, that's fine. That looks like a good spot too. A little more open, but we were the only ones here. So we took this spot. It rained at night, not heavily, but some. The next morning, we got up and I looked at that campsite where I was ready to put my tent, and it was wet, wet, wet. There was like little puddles, and it would have been a disaster. So thank goodness for the wisdom of my daughter. So it has been sprinkling a little bit, not full on rain, but sprinkling. Because there's supposed to be rain, I put my rain gear on because I didn't want to get caught out if it changes quickly from a sprinkle to a rain. So my phone is buried under the rain gear, which means if I'm going to take videos or even check my map, I basically have to unsnap my waist belt on my backpack. So that's a much bigger project than I'm liable to do on a regular basis, so probably pretty limited videography this afternoon. But I will have to check my map periodically, and if it's not an absolute downpour, then I'll take some video if there's anything interesting around.